Sophia is Oxford trained on CBT techniques and therapy, and she'll lead the way today. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. So thank you also, Ferry, for the opportunity. So that's today what we are going to do is a workshop, as Ferry said, on work-life balance in a digital world. So we are going to see more in depth how to balance in a very hyper-connected world. So we know that there are a lot of digital triggers nowadays. So for example, from social media, social networks, also from the fact that from COVID-19 we started to maybe working on a hybrid model or fully remote. So this is the aim of the workshop today. So what we are going to do basically is to learn how to reduce the digital burnout by setting some boundaries, and we will see also practically. So we are going to have some exercises so you don't have to be always listening to my voice all the time, but hopefully we can make it a little bit more interactive. And on the other end, we are also going to learn how to develop healthier digital habits, because nowadays we have, as I said before, a lot of digital going on. So we will learn how to improve our well-being in terms of social life, physical well-being, and mental health. Also, I wanted to let you know that if you have any questions or any doubts or anything is unclear during our workshop, please do not hesitate to interrupt me or to let me know. You can unmute yourself or raise your hand or write in the chat. Everything is fine with me. Again, I don't want to for you just to listen to my voice, but to make it as more interactive as possible. So if there are no questions so far, we can get more in details with all of that digital balance and all these strategies that I would like for us to cover.
No
Okay.
question.
No question. Good, thank you. um, so, just to give you a little bit of an introduction and a little bit of an idea of what is the well-being in a new society where the digital is very predominant and now has a significant part in our life. Because before, I will say, the most important part of our well-being would have been just work and personal life, which may include, of course, social life, relationship, family, hobbies, leisure activities, our individual needs. So everything that is around that. But I would say that maybe the dilemma would have been just between how to balance these two. But in the last 2 or 3 decades, I would say, we started to see that the digital and technologies was something that was more predominant and more significant. And now it is considered in psychology like a third factor that we should consider if we want to achieve an overall well-being. So it's important that now it's not just a balance between work and personal life, but it's a balance between work, personal life, and digital health. So this is why it's important nowadays to talk about how we can improve that area while learning to I would say um, taking out some tools from the toolbox that I hope to give you today. Um, so just starting also from, I love numbers and I love to give people an idea of what we are talking about today and what is the actual situation. So this is in specifically in the US situation. What are the main, for example, social media used, and how much time these social media are taking our time per day? So, for example, we can see from this graph that the 82%, more or less 83%, is taken from WhatsApp in our daily life. So we are using WhatsApp for the 82.6% per day, and then YouTube 63.2, and Facebook 62.8. So this means that we are using a lot of time to stay on this on the screen basically. So it's really important to not be, I will say, to not be, mm, I don't know, like this digital overload can be very predominant. So we need to try and try to reconnect with the real world. So sometimes we just lose time. I mean, if it's sometimes it's really a waste of time to be like, I don't know, scrolling on Instagram, scrolling on TikTok, going on Facebook, going on Snapchat, messaging on WhatsApp. That sometimes really we really don't see how much time we really spend on that and how much time we don't really spend in the real world. So this is when the digital overload overcome, because we don't really realize that we are spending so much time in that. So this comes the first activity, which is just a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you. Do you know how many hours a day, more or less, you can just try to guess, do you spend on screens?
For me, I know it's about 2.5 hours, 2 hours a day.
Okay, so you're quite good at it. I mean, 2 hours is already quite a lot if you think about that. In 2 hours, you can do a lot of things, but
Sure.
it depends on what are also the main reasons, which is the second question. You use these digital devices. So, what is that for you? What are these two
I
hours on screen?
I would say the 2 to 2.5 hours for me is entertainment, not looking at emails. It's more Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and YouTube.
Okay. So,
So
two.
business emails would be different. Of course, I don't know if you can put those in that same category, but
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
maybe longer, obviously, with the business category.
Yeah. So we can split, you say, in maybe two main categories, which can be maybe the work part where you are checking more the business part, let's say, where, for
Right,
example, you are checking emails and related things to business that you need to use a screen anyway. And the
right,
entertainment part where you use the screen for enjoyment reasons, let's say. Would you
correct.
say? Okay. So in this case, for example, you can see that even you are spending 2.5 hours per day on the entertainment part. So how much time would you say, for example, on the business part you spend on the screen per day?
Oh boy, because of course I'm as a dentist, I'm doing everything on the computer
Hmm.
and checking business emails and answering. I would say it's a good maybe 3 hours.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
that is the business part of it because everything we do is online and on the computer.
Yeah.
Total, yeah, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, you basically said what I wanted to say next, said that nowadays everything is really related to technology. Even though you would like to maybe disconnect, it seems quite impossible to take yourself from out of it, because of course everything now is really related. We can just, I don't know, order something from Deliveroo. You just go on the screen and do it. Or we would like to, I don't know, book a trip for to go somewhere. We will go on the screen and do it. So
Right.
nowadays we really rely on the digital part. So either for business, either for entertainment, but also for utilities such as, I don't know, or like I said, booking a trip, booking a restaurant, doing groceries. So at the moment, really, digital is a really big part. And just for you, we say that 3 hours is for this, for the business, 2.5 hours or 2 hours are for entertainment, and this is already up to 5 hours of a day, which
Right.
if we think is quite a lot. So
Sure.
this is what we are going to see now. So we will talk about the burnout. So the burnout is when actually we notice that we have certain types of signs or symptoms related to stress and high workload. So in a world that is very hyper connected with these digital and technologies and use of screen, we notice that we might have that adrenaline going on in our body more than we used to, in general as human beings, because before we didn't have all of this information, we didn't have all of these triggers, we didn't have all of these things to think about. And of course, technologies are very good for, they can make us have immediate responses, such as I would like to book a trip. In 2 minutes I can do that with a smartphone in my hand. But on the other end, we have a lot of, for example, places on platforms or triggers from the smartphones, all of the notifications from the all the digital devices. So sometimes we may reach a kind of lack of control and support in that sense. So this is when the burnout will overcome, because burnout is made of three main dimensions that you can see here, which are inefficacy, exhaustion, and cynicism. And all of the three of them, if they are put together at a certain point, they will lead to burnout. So the exhaustion is the emotional distress, that sense of fatigue, that we just think, oh, I don't want to do this, I would like just to take a nap and that's it. Or then that leads to cynicism, which is basically related to being met at the source of the emotional distress, such as like not really feel depersonalized from, that work life stress that we are experiencing. And then there is the inefficacy, so the fact that then we feel that lack of confidence, we don't feel capable anymore. And then we start to have all of these thoughts, negative thoughts, about the fact that we are not able anymore to do what we are doing. So this is when the burnout comes in, and it's very important to recognize the symptoms, recognize the stress, because if we don't do something about it, we can really fall apart. And our mental health, our personal life, our work life will be affected significantly. So it's important to have these very, very, very in mind. So this is why today, as I said, later on we will see more practical strategies on how to prevent this burnout from this digital overload that, as we've seen so far, is very predominant. So these are the main signs. So, for example, we already say the mental fatigue, the lack of control, the lack of focus. So our concentration most of the time can really be affected. The irritability. So we can be easily snappy at people, at ourselves as well. So these are the signs. And if you feel that there are moments that we experience these kind of symptoms, it's important that we start to set boundaries, to say no to things, to try to disconnect. So the good thing on the other end is to think about practices. So, for example, doing things that we like to do, like hobbies, doing a digital detox. So just take some time out of the screen, and we will go to see how to do it properly. and then some physical exercises, for example. So these are very good things that we can find to do in order for us to, avoid that burnout or that signs to get worse. So just as an activity, again, I don't know if you ever heard, but I like for I also use it as a very good strategy. The SMART goals. The SMART goals are goals that or objectives that we can set for ourselves in order for us to achieve something. So, for example, if we notice that we are irritable, if we notice that we are stressed, if we have that lack of concentration, okay, we know that, as we said before, we need to set boundaries. In order to set these boundaries, maybe I would like, for example, to go to the gym for physical activity, which we said before, it's, for example, a very good alternative to just stay on the phone and being overloaded by that digital triggers. So the SMART goals can really be helpful in this to achieve this, because sometimes motivation can be also a little bit in our way, in terms of like not really feeling capable, because we said before the inefficacy and the burnout can really be something that bring us negative thoughts as well. So what does it mean to be smart in goals? Means to make them specific. So really understand what is my goal. For example, as I said before, I would like to go to the gym. So because why I would like to go to the gym? I would like to go to the gym because I want to feel better about myself, feel better about my physical health, and also for my mental health. So really understand what is my goal and what is our intention. So we need to make it measurable. Measurable means how will I track my progress? So for example, I can say I will track my progress by going to the gym like twice per week for 1 hour. And I'm going to the gym that is like next to my house. I will go by myself, and every time I'm doing it, this means that it's measurable. So making more specific, making more measurable means that I need to really identify with whom, where I will go, when I will go, for how long I will go. So these are very good questions to ask ourselves to make it specific and measurable. Then it needs to be achievable. Is your goal realistic? So of course I cannot make a goal like I would like to go to the moon tomorrow, because this is not a realistic goal. But for example, if I know that I have a gym next to my house and I can afford it, and I have all the equipment to go, I think this is a very achievable and realistic. Relevant also is if the goal does really align with the overall plan. So will going to the gym really makes myself make myself being good with physical health and mental health? I think in this case is a yes. And time bound is give your goal a deadline. So for example, I can decide to sign for a membership for 3 months. So at the end of 3 months, I will know if actually I have achieved my goal by measure it. So I hope this is clear. Let me know if it's not, or if there are any questions so far. And in the meantime, also we'll ask you to write down or to think about a specific goal that you would like to achieve based on the fact that, what we have said before, some good practices, some good things that you like to do or that you would like to start to do that you didn't because maybe you were, just spending that hours on the digital screen, or because of business or because of other reason.
Yeah,
So I'm giving maybe
the comments on the chat, so
okay.
Sophia can see your comments about your goals for 2025. And Gabrielle also shared a video on Instagram and Facebook about having achievable and measurable intentions, not like, New Year resolutions, but intentions. And, it's scientifically proven that when you have intentions, you actually do work on them and, meet your goals.
Yeah, I agree. This is very, very important to do. So yeah, and maybe I will just give you a couple of minutes. Also, if you have any questions or anything is unclear, as I said, please feel free to interrupt me. And yeah, but I hope that so far everything's good.
Yeah, everything is good.
Nice. Also, Ferry, if anything pops in the chat, if you can let me know. So
Okay, I'm watching it closely.
thank you. Thank you so much. Because if I'm in the presentation, as I said, it can be tricky.
So Russell says, like to use my phone ability to time my social media limitations.
Okay, that's good.
We all agree with you, Russell.
Because I believe on the Samsung, which is my phone, I have abilities to track. I just don't look at it. But I think if I start to, it makes me think that, wow, I'm just spending way too much time on YouTube or on TikTok, and that could help me kind of track my spending time with other activities.
Mm-hmm.
But I
That's
know my phone has that ability.
So does Apple
yes.
phone. Mhm.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely something that luckily we have now as a tool on our phone. So as we said, if you make it like smart, so the intention to every day, for example, I know that at I don't know 9 a.m. in the morning, I'm going maybe better 9 p.m. in the evening. I'm going to see how much time I spent on the screen, so maybe you can set an alarm on it just to remind yourself to make it as an habit, so you can just keep it track. Because otherwise we can think like, oh yeah, maybe I can just see sometimes and then we forget. But if we can
Sure.
make it as an intention, as a specific thing that we plan, and we make it like we can remind it, so like for example through a reminder or the alarm, then you will be able to making it as an habit. And then as you say, probably, okay, today I spent 3 hours, today I spent 5 hours, today I spent 1 hour, so you can track yourself. And maybe you can do the same thing about finding alternatives to, if you notice, okay, maybe that's too much time, okay, what can I do in that time instead of spending my time on the screen? Of course, if it's business related, it's a little bit more difficult because we need to. But if it's for entertainment and you think, oh, maybe 2 hours and a half on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, or Facebook is really a lot, maybe I can just spend 1 hour less, and the other hour I would like maybe to spend it going. I don't know. I just made the gym example, or it can be anything else that you like to do. Then we can set more that boundaries in order for us to prevent to be in burnout or stressed or overloaded by the digital. Does it make
Right.
sense?
Yes, yes. I thank you for bringing that up because it's really important to think about. I'm thinking what you're saying is to think about what can I fill that time with as a hobby, as a learning experience, reading a book. Because if I don't, then I might get bored or think, oh, I'll just go back to it. But it's important to, yes, force yourself to think how to fill that void so that you don't miss that social media time and keep yourself busy by learning something practical. Like I always wanted to learn how to play guitar, and maybe that would be a good opportunity to learn how to play guitar.
Yeah, that's a wonderful idea, actually. So, yeah, you know,
Yeah,
and you will notice how much time then we can gain from, just thinking about, okay, I always wanted to do that, where I can
sure,
take this time from. Because we always say, oh, in this world, we don't have enough time. But this is not true. We have the time. It's just about how to optimize it, you know?
true,
And
true.
for example, spending less time on a screen or on a digital device is really important, in order for us to do the things that maybe we wanted to start to do and we never found the time to do. So
Sure,
I think if you make it smart, so the fact that you have the intention to to start and learn how to play the guitar, you can think about, okay, how many times a week I would like to start to do so, for how much time, for do I need a teacher, do I want to do it myself, do I need a guitar first of all? Also, do we have the equipment to do so? So the more you make it smart, the better the outcome will be. So this is
definitely
very,
agreed. That's a great point. Thank you. I appreciate that.
no worries, that's fine. Do you have, or anyone has any question in general, or should I move on?
No questions from me.
I think we can move on.
Okay, thanks. So just coming back here, I wanted also to take a little bit of time to remote work versus personal life, because as I said at the beginning, during COVID-19, there has been this trend to start to work from home. So smart working, full time, mostly, or during COVID-19, for obvious reason, or hybrid models as well nowadays. So I don't know how many of you work remotely, but of course this is also, much more time that we spend on the screen without, that social connections, physical social connection in the offices. So I wanted to provide you with some strategies on how to balance that part as well a little bit more. So it's important, for example, to designate a workspace. So this means that, for example, it's important maybe to really have maybe a desk or a part of your house that is really dedicated to work, not maybe just going, I don't know, in the living room and then in the bedroom and then in the kitchen, because there you will start associate that space with work. So it's important that you really define the boundaries there about a very specific place where to work. So that is your workplace. And then everything else is something that is separated from it. This is important because when you stop to work and it's the end of your working day, you can really switch off from work. Otherwise, you will associate all of your house probably in the workhouse as well, which is not good to really separate the personal life from the work life. Also, it's very important to stick as much as possible to a routine. So try to have, lunch or dinner at the same time, in order for you to not be unbalanced in that, and clear the expectations. So what I'm going to do today, at what time I'm going to do today. So this is very important, and you can use smart goals in this as well. It's important also because we lack of maybe that physical social connections, but we can make virtual connections. Maybe, now also technology can help us, like through Zoom today, we can be all together and working towards this workshop. But also during our work is important that maybe we can still try to chat with others and try to still have that social networking. And also, one important thing is to taking breaks outside the home. If you can't go outside, it's important also to have the 20 rule. I don't know if you ever heard about that, but it's very easy strategy that for every 20 minutes you at least should watch out of a window or watch something else that is not a screen for at least 20 seconds. So, and also usually it's better to watch something 20 meters far away. So this is why the 20 rule. So this is important just to also for us to reconnect with the real world, knowing where we are, what we are doing, how we are doing. So it's important also to check in with ourselves. So this is very important. And as I said, maintaining social activities that they can't just be only virtual, but also maybe finishing working, even if you're tired, it's important maybe to go out, socialize, having time with your family, and make sure that we are doing this as well. So this is where also mindfulness is a very good area that we can explore in terms of strategy. So we will see a very short activity after this slide, which is about stress reduction. So try to focus on the here and now, the present, as I said, being ourselves, make ourselves aware of where we are, what we are doing, how we are doing. This also, many studies have shown that these lower our cortisol level, which is one of the main hormone responsible of stress. And this, of course, improve our emotional regulation, the self-awareness, our resilience, also greater job satisfaction, which again, just reconnecting with what we were saying before, is important to prevent that burnout. So, as I said, this is just a very small activity I would like to do with you. Or also, it's a very nice strategy for you to have in your daily life. It's called square breathing exercise. I don't know if you ever heard about it, but at least if you just do it for 1 minute every day, which is nothing if you think about it, but really can change a lot and have a very positive impact in your daily life. So basically, is about visualizing a square, also mentally, and then try to focus on your deep breathing. If it can helpful, also maybe to close your eyes. Also, if you want to try to do it now, it's very easy. So just close your eyes and focus on your deep breathing. And at that point, by closing your eyes, visualizing that square in front of you, you can just move on all the sides of the square by inhaling for 4 seconds. So inhaling and going moving on one side, then hold for 4 seconds, and then you go on the other side of the square, and then exhale for 4 seconds, and then again hold for other 4 seconds. So this is very helpful in terms of like trying to reconnect a little bit with ourselves, with the world, with the present, with the here and now. So in this way, sometimes it's very easy. You can do it wherever you want, whenever you want. And sometimes, instead of being fed up, irritable, stressed, we can just say, okay, wait a second. Maybe I need just to breathe out, reconnect a little bit with the real world. So I'm just asking you, how this can be used not just during work breaks, but in general, how would you say you will use it? Or how would you say, in maybe there are specific moments of your day that you can think about that these kind of breathing exercise may be helpful? Or if you have any questions about the breathing exercise, or also if you knew it before, maybe you were already using it, because there are people that sometimes, oh yeah, I was using a breathing exercise, maybe it wasn't the square breathing, but it was another. So just some feedback about it. What are your guys' thoughts?
Um,
We had the same box breathing exercise in our previous workshop, which was about mindfulness and mindful living. And I've also explored another breathing exercise that is 4-7-8, which helps with sleep. So it has tremendously helped me, the box exercise and 4-7-8.
Good. Yes, they are very two nice breathing exercises. Quite similar, but yeah, maybe the 478 is more for the sleep part, as you said. Whether the square breathing is more a general breathing exercise. But thank you very for sharing that. Very useful.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay, nice. Thank you for that. Oh, also you said in the chat during work, sleep, and personal life stress. Good. Yes, definitely, 100%. Okay, so just moving on then. Oh, we were talking about sleep. So thank you, for you just led me the way to that. Also, because of course, we came to that habit of using digital devices before going to sleep, which is also on, I have to admit, is I'm one of them. And definitely 100% these affect sleep. Why does it does so? Because for example, when we use smartphones or tablets or screens or computers, they emit blue light, which I believe that you may be aware of. And these really disrupt the production of melatonin, that is one of the main again hormone responsible of regulating the sleep cycle. So when we are going to disrupt it by using the smartphones and devices, at that point our sleep quality will be really affected. So it's very important that we will learn some strategies on how to prevent to use um, these digital devices before going to bed. And on the other end, there is also the area of the mental stimulation, because talking about business, we can work till late, checking that emails, or sometimes we just check that social media if someone wrote us, or just scrolling on Instagrams, scrolling on Facebook, and all of that is again digital overloading. And of course this will stimulate also our cognitive activity, so our brain will just work more, and all the neural connection will be stimulated even more. So it's like our brain is thinking that we are not going to bed, but or going to relax, but is going to put even more effort, even more energy, and that's not how it should be. Otherwise it's very difficult to come to have a good sleep cycle. And these really elevate, for example, as we said before, the cortisol, which is responsible of stress. So again, coming back to that burnout, because if we don't sleep well, also our energy, our fatigue will be affecting during daytime. So some recommendations there. So it's good if you can avoid screen at least 30-60 minutes before bed. So just as we said, in order to naturally prepare for sleep. And for example, I'm using it's like a box that you can put your phone or other devices. I mostly is my phone because it's the one that I use more, especially before bedtime. And I can put it in this box, and you can't open that box before a setting time that you decide. So I just put it there, and then I just wait for the phone to be there in there, maybe for usually a couple of hours, so I'm not tempted to use it before going to bed. And this is really is quite a very strict one, but everyone can find your its own way to try to not being tempted, maybe just making someone hiding your devices, or maybe you're just very motivated to be like, no, I really need to stop and watching that screen. Or as we said before, for example, finding an alternative like reading a book, for example, instead of using the screen, can be really, really helpful to not allow yourself and being distracted from using the screen. But of course, if you really need to use the screen for any reason, there are some very helpful tools on our phones, which, for example, are the night shift on iPhones and night mode on Android, that are kind of reducing the blue light. um, and as I said before, engaging in other kind of activities that are naturally preparing ourselves to go into bed, like in reading a book is one of the main activity that we can do, or like also meditating or doing some light stretching is really helpful. And also we can consider using a dim light hour leading up to bed and avoid bright rooms lights or screen based tasks. So just a little bit of questions again. I wanted to ask you some questions. So for example, how often do you check your phone or other devices before bed? Are you all guilty like me, or you're better than I am, for example?
All guilty like you, exactly.
Okay, so this is also something to be aware of, like also recognizing that we are making mistakes is a good way to start and learn from that mistakes to and how to solve them, right? Okay. And do you feel that screen time impacts actually your abilities to sleep well?
In my case, yes, for example, I'm trying to replace the podcasts instead of, having screen like before every time that I'm trying to sleep. It actually helps a lot. So it's easier to sleep, and also I feel like, okay, I'm sleeping well right now. So yeah, it has a great impact on the ability.
Oh, okay. I think podcasts can be also a very nice alternative because you are not engaging with the screen, but is in your listening to something.
Yeah.
Of course, it depends on also on the podcast that you are here listening to, because if you are listening to true crime, I don't know how much helpful can be for your sleep.
Yeah, it helps for the good dreams.
Oh, okay. But this is a very good suggestion also for other people that might be interested in. So thank you for sharing. And is there anything you find particularly challenging about reducing screen time before bed? What do you think it might be the main problem? Anyone has any idea of why they find challenging to use that screen time?
Notifications for sure,
Hmm?
because every time I decided to basically stop it, I left my phone on the table and something just came, like a notification from an application or, social media. And I just felt like, okay, I need to check that. And then
Hmm.
it starts again. I'm basically scrolling down and also, trying to find something to watch before I'm just getting to sleep. So, yeah, I think the notifications are the main challenges.
Yeah, that's a very good one because, of course, there is that curiosity about, okay, what's the notification about? So then you start to watch the screen again without even noticing it. So as I said in the recommendation, for example, there is that night shift mode that you can also put what kind of notification you receive. So for example, there is that filter on an iPhone, but I think also on Android there is that option that you can filter the notification that you receive. So for example, I have just my mom at the moment, just in case something happens, but all the social media notification are not habilitated. So I don't receive anything before going to bed when I apply this night filter. So this might be, for example, an idea to help yourself to not be distracted. But the important thing, as you said, is trying to notice what is the trigger and what make us looking at the screen again. For example, for you is notification, which is like a very impactful source of distraction or curiosity, and then you engage again with the screen time. So just, of course, these questions are not just for this workshop, but in general are for yourself to to wonder yourself during your daily life. So how am I doing? What am I doing? How can I overcome this? What is the real problem? What are the challenges? How much time I spend on the screen? So all of these things that we are seeing now, it's important for you to have in mind. So
I
we
like
come.
to, I like to share a personal challenge. I
Oh
used to
yes.
drink coffee around 4 o'clock just to wake up and do some more work. And I realized that it's really affecting my sleep pattern. So I don't drink any more caffeine after 10 a.m. So that's where I stop, because if I drink anything that has caffeine after 10 a.m., I can't sleep that night. So that's my personal challenge. And when you don't sleep, you go straight to your smartphone.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So caffeine is another very big thing. So it's good that you notice that, okay, let's go for trials and errors. So sometimes we don't really know what kind of trigger is really impacting our sleep. So maybe you just try, for example, okay, maybe it's notification, maybe is about the caffeine intake. So let's try to, just ban the caffeine after 10
Limit
a.m.
our habits, bad habits.
Exactly. It is about really identifying, because if we don't know our enemies, how we can really fight them. So the important thing is to find our enemies, I will call them, but our bad habits to turn them in good ones. So thank you, Ferry, as well. Also, what we are going to do now is to really talking about digital detox. There are now very good apps that also are you can download them, and they are basically blocking your phone for a while if you want a forced digital detox, because sometimes it's very difficult to do so. But also, if you would like to learn how to do it, I think these 5 steps are really helpful for you to do so. So let's first read the first one, which is set intentions and goals. So at the very beginning, we can use the SMART goals strategy that we said before. So try to really understand what are our intention, and then identify your triggers, which is what we were talking now. So really try to understand what are maybe the main, I don't know, the main application that we use more, or for example, checking emails, or what are really what are we engaging with in terms of screen time. So for example, one of my biggest problem is Instagram reels for me are really one of the bad things. So because they just last few seconds, and then you are just constantly with dopamine high, and you constantly scroll down. So for me, I noticed that this is a really big trigger. So what I'm going to do is to designate take free time and zone. So really being like, okay, by this time to this time, or maybe by this day to this day, which is even better, I'm not going to use Instagram, or at least I'm not going on Reels. So this is very important to set down specifically our intention about it, and make it very specific. For example, one very good thing is, if for example my problem is Instagram, I won't put Instagram in the home screen, but I will put it maybe somewhere that I can't easily find them, find the application, and I need to go in many folder to find it. Or maybe you can delete the application in in another case. So this is, for example, something that make it difficult for you to engage with. Then you set daily limits for app usage, and then plan alternative activities, as we said before. Like for example, I can start and learn on how to play a guitar. So before just wrapping up things, are there any questions about anything?
Not for me.
Okay, nice. So just wrapping up then, today we talked about the importance of setting boundaries. So how important is that we say no and we find alternative solutions about how to prevent the burnout, which is another very big topic, how to avoid it, how to recognize the symptoms, and then how to set boundaries in order for us to not come into that place where our mental health, our personal life will be significantly impacted. Then, how to manage digital overload. We saw some strategies, we saw the SMART goals, we saw the square breathing, we saw some also sleep recommendations with some strategies on how to balance our self-care in a work personal life with digital devices. Is there anything else that you come to mind that we covered today, or maybe you wanted to cover, or maybe any feedback that you have about how you found this workshop is very appreciated.
This was very wonderful. Thank you so much. There's a lot of good information. Practical, because a lot of times we want to do this and that, and we don't know sometimes. So knowing some tools and things that we can do to replace our bad habits is really wonderful. So great workshop. Thank you.
Thank you for this feedback. I really appreciate. I just wanted to make it very practical because, as you said, it's very important to learn really how we need to do
Sure.
these things. Otherwise, it's very difficult to start somewhere.
Sure.
Yeah, and self-care really, when you do it in small little steps, baby steps, it really resonates and lasts longer. That's what I have realized. Attending all these wonderful workshops helped me, I think, learn. I learned a thing or two myself. So it's great. Thank
Yeah.
you, Sophia. This was wonderful.
Thank you
And
so much.
if you have any feedback, please share it on the chat so we can improve our next workshops. If you think this was a good time, if it's too short or if it's too long, please let us know so we can, build our next workshops with that knowledge and with that constructive feedback.
Thank you so
Thank
much. And
you.
also, I wanted to leave you with this sentence that I really love. It is quite motivational. You don't have to be perfect, just consistent.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone,
you.
for attending. Thank you, Sophia, for your time and for your knowledge and expertise and sharing them with us today. And we will be having another workshop next month. We'll share that information with you right after we share these resources. We recorded this session today, and we will be sharing with you so you can use them in the days that that are coming up for you. So thank you again and have a pleasant day, everyone.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.